Good evening and welcome to the September 2021 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Board Chair Amanda Bogner is unable to attend today's meeting. In her absence as Vice Chair, I will act as the chair of this meeting. Thank you all for joining us in person at the Legislative Chamber of the Omaha Douglas Civic Center and remotely via WebEx. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. With me today in the room are my fellow board members, Mike Cavanaugh, Sarah Howard, Janice Mulhoff, Craig Moody, Mary Spurgeon, and Rick Yoder. We also have President and CEO Javier Fernandez, our General Counsel Steve Bruckner, with Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD's senior management team and subject matter experts are participating in today's meeting remotely and in person. Additionally, we have 4 attendees on WebEx consisting of OPPD employees and 1 member of the public here in the room with us. As a reminder to board members, senior management, and OPPD staff, please mute your microphone to reduce background noise. To members of the public, thank you for attending. If you have joined us via WebEx, you are in listen-only mode. If you have any technology questions, please use the chat feature in WebEx to communicate with the event host. If you are disconnected from the WebEx conference, we ask that you rejoin in the same manner as which you originally joined. Those who have joined us in person today, there is an attendee sign-in sheet at the entrance of the Legislative Chamber. The sign-in sheet is for public health contact tracing purposes. Also, in the interest of public health, at last month's meeting, the board approved a resolution to require in-person attendees to wear masks at our meetings. We are following the Centers for Disease Control recommendations to wear masks indoors, while Douglas County is designated by the CDC as an area of substantial or high transmission of the COVID-19 virus. I will now ask Josh Clark, Manager of Protective Services, to provide the safety briefing for our location, and President Fernandez to provide other safety reminders.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. President, members of OPPD, and the public. Thank you for attending September's board meeting. As we've discussed in the past, there are specific security details that we have addressed for this room specifically. As you remember, there are 2 emergency exits located to the right and left of me. These are stairwells that do go down to the main level and then outside of the building. In the event of severe weather, which luckily I don't think we'll have a problem with today, we would go down into the parking area of this building. Also located at either of these exits are first aid and also fire suppression materials. What we would also at OPPD remind those of us joining virtually that it's a good idea to always keep in mind where your personal first aid and fire suppression materials are located in your homes. And it is always a great idea if you are home alone or in a location alone to have a trusted member of your family or friend know that you're home alone in the event of an emergency. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I'll do a quick safety briefing also. We continue to recommend, of course, we're still battling with the pandemic. So we as always recommend that you watch your distance, that you wear a mask, and Vice Chair Williams just described to us the mask requirement for this meeting, and wash your hands. And the third W that we've been asking people is I wish that you consider getting your vaccine. It's still construction season, so we ask you please call 811 before you dig and to visit ne1call.com to get more information before you dig. I'm going to also offer 2 other safety elements that have been mentioned in our daily safety briefings at OPPD. One of them has to do with farming. It is harvest season, and we have a lot of farming in Nebraska, and so it is very important for all of us to remember that there is equipment on the road. We will encounter more and more tractors and farming equipment coming in and out of parcels. So it's important for us to be aware of the additional traffic that happens and these type of equipment, excuse me. And the other one is school started about a month ago, but it continues to roll in different phases for different grades and different schools and college. The traffic is significantly higher now than it was a month ago. So just to keep your eyes on the road, lots of children present, and it's important for us to remember that safety for our pedestrians. That concludes my safety briefing.
Thanks very much, President Fernandez. I would also encourage everyone to get a vaccine to protect yourself, your family, and our entire community. Now let's run through our list of guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on OPPD.com. This meeting is being conducted in person and via WebEx events and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are part of the official public record. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you will have an opportunity to comment on any other matters of OPPD business. We will take comments via WebEx and in the room. Let's first review the two options for WebEx attendees to notify us. Option number one, which is being displayed now, involves sending the meeting technology host a message using the chat feature, simply stating that you wish to speak.
Thank you, Chair Williams. For those who have joined us using a computer or WebEx mobile app, you will find a button in your WebEx interface to open the chat panel. Once opened, you may send your message to the meeting technology host. Requests to provide comments will be relayed to Chair Williams for recognition during the public comments section.
Option two, which is being displayed now, involves the hand raise feature. Ms. Henners?
WebEx allows attendees to virtually raise their hand. You may use this feature to indicate to OPPD that you wish to be recognized to provide comments. The hand raise button is located in the participant list panel as displayed on this slide. After you have provided your comments, please press the hand raise button again to virtually lower your hand. And for those who have joined the meeting using only a telephone, WebEx has a hand raise feature that is activated by pressing *3 to raise and lower your hand. When we see your hand raised, we will acknowledge you by referencing a portion of your phone number. For example, caller with the phone number beginning in 402-123. If you wish to provide comments when recognized, please wait a brief moment to be unmuted and begin speaking. At this time, if you would like to try using the hand raise feature, please do so as a test.
Great, thank you very much. I'll allow plenty of time at each opportunity for public comment for members of the public to provide notifications via WebEx. When I call on a member of the public to speak, our meeting technology host will unmute your microphone. Before commencing your comments, I suggest you first affirm that we can hear you. Please state your name and address and state the name or name of any organization or person you are representing. Organizations should choose one representative to speak on their behalf. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we will display a timer on the WebEx screen to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Henners will signal you when 30 seconds remain and also when time is up. For in-person attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please line up behind the microphone while maintaining at least 6 feet of social distance. We ask that you wear your mask while speaking into the microphone. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending to assist you. We'll use a timer that is in the room. Red, yellow, green on the stand. Ms. Henners will signal you when 30 seconds remain and as well when your time is up. Please direct your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you have written materials, please email them to Ms. Henners at mfhenners@oppd.com or hand them to her in person, and she will receive them on our behalf. In summary, we will take WebEx comments first, then in-the-room comments, then have a last call. Ms. Henners, will you please take the roll call?
Kavanaugh,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Molhoff,
Here.
Moody,
Here.
Spurgeon, here, Williams,
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in Outlets newsletter and on OPPD.com, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since September 10th, 2021, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on OPPD.com and in this meeting room. The consent agenda action items for this evening are as follows. Item 6, approval of the July 2021 Comprehensive Financial and Operating Report, August 2021 meeting minutes, and the September 16th, 2021 agenda. Item 7, SD10 Ethics Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6459. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items, I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. We discussed these action items at the all committee meeting on Tuesday, September 14th. At this time, I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on these consent agenda items. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
I don't see any hand raises.
I don't see any comments in the room. All right,
Yeah, and I have no chat messages either.
very good. Thank you. Ms. Henners, will you please call the roll?
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Molhoff? I'm sorry, Howard?
Yes.
Molhoff? Yes. Moody?
Yes.
Spurgeon?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Yoder?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 8, appointment of Troy Vi to Chief Operating Officer and Vice President Utility Operations and Compensation Adjustment. Resolution number 6460. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustment for the corporate officer Troy R. Vi, as set forth on the Exhibit A attached hereto, be and hereby is approved.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, colleagues, I'm extremely excited about Mr. Troy Vi and the role that he's about to take on. And we talked about this extensively, both in closed session and during the public session on Tuesday. So I won't belabor that, but I do think it would be worthwhile for you, Mr. Fernandez, to give us just kind of the quick overview so that the public can have line of sight into it, if you would.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Director Moody. As I mentioned at the committee meeting on Tuesday, shortly after taking on my new role, and actually even before I got my new role, there were some announcements that were made in the organization. The departure of our Vice President, Mary Fisher, certainly is part of this decision. And then when she's the Vice President of Energy Production and Nuclear Decommissioning currently, and will be until the end of October. As I took over my new position, I had to weigh all of the work, all of the priorities that we have going on in the district. And it was very clear to me that we have a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of projects, many very complicated, large projects ahead of us that we have been working on and we will start working on soon. To name a few, it's the continued decommissioning of Fort Calhoun Nuclear Station, all the retrofitting that we will have to make in the next 3 years of the North Omaha Station to retire units 1, 2, and 3 and convert units 4 and 5 to natural gas. We are building 2 new peaking stations down in Sarpy County, the Turtle Creek Station, and up here in Douglas County, the Standing Bear Lake Station. We're building new substations, 8 or 9 of them, 40 to 45 miles of high voltage transmission line, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a lot of work going on, in addition to just the normal work of keeping the lights on, maintaining our generation units in good working condition, and transmission and distribution. My focus is to focus on execution at the same time as we continue to focus on strategy and strategic direction in the district. For that reason, I consulted with my colleagues, I consulted with other CEOs in other utilities, and it became clear to me that the option of consolidating the operational functions of OPPD under one umbrella, the utility operations business unit, made sense. This is consolidating operations on generation, on transmission and distribution, and really focusing on execution of work that happens in those 3 functions. A very important piece of this decision was, well, if we consolidate all of these functions, we need good leaders to lead this new business unit. And that one was a relatively easy one for me, knowing that we have Mr. Troy Vi on staff. I've had the pleasure of working with Troy all of the time that I've been at OPPD. In fact, he used to report to me when I first joined OPPD as Director of Energy Marketing and Trading. He has been my peer for the past 3 years as VP of Energy Delivery, and I have full confidence that he will be a fantastic Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Utility Operations. In order to help Troy manage such a large group of people and really keep our focus on execution, there will be changes that Troy will make within his organization, naming 3 senior directors of different functions within that business unit, and making a few more changes that he will determine once he gets your approval. If you approve him tonight, he will become officially the Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Utility Operations on Sunday, October 31. It's just a pay period. These things usually work. And the other thing that I would like to mention is what is not in this new business unit are functions that are planning functions. So I am taking the opportunity as well to take some of the planning functions, actually all of the planning functions on resource planning, transmission, distribution planning, alternative energy management, and housing those in a separate business unit of systems transformation that will help me also keep a focus on all the transformation that we're undergoing, making sure that we have really good planning going forward. And we have 2 focus areas: planning, strategy, future focused, and also on execution of work with the utility operations business unit. This is a new position. We have had similar positions in the past, but we currently don't have a Chief Operating Officer position. And so our human capital team, usually with any new position, we market salaries, we look at position descriptions and all the requirements of the job, and we marketed that out with other utilities. That's how we came up with a range of salary that is a recommendation from human capital to myself. And I am presenting to you here the new salary for our new Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Utility Operations of $407,392, which would put him at an 85% of the midpoint. If you recall, the midpoint is a measure that we use for all of our executives and actually all of our exempt employees. We try to stay within 80% to 120% of the midpoint. So this is not quite at 90%, which is what we've been trying to get. But I think it's a good opportunity for Troy to demonstrate his skills, start delivering on all the projects that he has. And I believe that this is a really good starting point to compensate for the commensurate increase in responsibilities.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that summary. It's a big job. Troy is an extraordinarily capable, skilled individual that's I'm really excited to see him get into the job. As I said, there's a lot going on. He's going to have a lot to manage. It's a big job. It's a big salary. To that end, the governance committee did review and discuss. We brought this to the board on Tuesday, and we had a good discussion about the proposed salary. So I'm quite comfortable and happy with it, but I'll pause and allow my colleagues to comment.
Javier, I think you mentioned Tuesday, with this promotion and additional responsibility, Troy will be either directly or indirectly supervising 800 and some employees.
Yes, I don't have the exact number yet, but it's over 800 employees. It will be the largest business unit in the organization.
He's a good man. Every time I've ever called on him, he's certainly been helpful and competent, and I think he'll do a great job. I want to tip my hat to you, Javier, also for you've been making strong, decisive moves to revamp your team. And I appreciate that, what a leader does, and support this move.
Thank you, Director Kavanaugh.
Okay, I don't see any other comments from other board members. I would also like to echo that I believe Troy is very capable. This is an excellent move. I appreciate President Fernandez making this recommendation. And I think this will be a great step forward toward the vision that you've outlined for where our utility is moving in the future. Thank you. Now we'd like to take comments from the public. At this time, I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on this action item. If you'd like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
I don't see any hand raises. Lauren, can you confirm chat requests?
I do not have any chat requests.
Great. I do know that we have some members of the public online. Glad they're here, but no comments now. Thank you for checking. Ms. Sinners, can you please call the roll on this item?
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Molhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon. Yes. Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 9, 2021 expenditure approval increase, resolution number 6461. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District hereby approves the 2021 revised corporate operating plan expenditure amount of $1,738.1 million.
I move the board accept this resolution.
Second.
Thanks. Board members, this is a revision of the COP, and as such, that's the time when we as board members get to review and look at the budget, and this is a request for changing the budget. For me, it moved off of the consent agenda primarily because of that importance. I have been satisfied in the discussions that we've had in Finance Committee and again on Tuesday, that there are several one-time events that are influencing this request, that we have controls in place through our SDs and through the good practices of our teams. So I would recommend moving forward with this. CEO Fernandez, do you have other thoughts?
Yes, Director Yoder. Thank you. I'll briefly just talk about these, and I know we have members of the finance team online on the WebEx, so they can also contribute. From time to time, this is not something that happens every year. We take pride in having really good budgeting practices, and we track all of our budgets constantly. From time to time, unique events like the ones we've had this year force us to have this conversation. So in this case, the additional expenditures are a result of a combination of the additional expenditures we had to make during the polar vortex event, significantly higher purchase power expenditures, and fuel expenditures we had during that week. Those are mostly offset, or in great part offset, by the additional revenue we received from selling power during that same week. However, from a budget perspective, it's really not the revenue we're getting; it's the expenditure authorization that we need to see from the board. The other event was the July 9th storm. Again, it resulted in significantly higher expenditures that we had planned for. On the bright side of things, we have we're working with FEMA for reimbursement of the majority of those expenditures. But again, it's not the revenue that counts here, it's the additional expenditures that we need approval from the board. And the other one, the other large one, this was controllable, and this has to do with Fort Calhoun nuclear decommissioning. We had an opportunity to advance and accelerate work that was already planned for 2022, and the team saw the opportunity to be more efficient and advance more of that work into 2021. That work is already funded in the Nuclear Decommissioning Trust funds. So again, the money is in the fund. We had an opportunity to bring in more work faster, and that explains the additional expenditure. To be clear, we do not expect any of these expenditures from these events that I just mentioned to cause a rate increase. This is not a rate increase. Let me just repeat it one more time. It is not causing a rate increase because we have offsetting revenues on the other side of the ledger that are helping. It has plays a challenge for the organization, and we've actually had to tighten our belts quite a bit during the year. We've had an even increased focus on cost management to help us manage through the year. But I have full confidence that we will end the year in a solid financial position, yet with more expenditures, which is the reason why this resolution is brought to you tonight.
Thank you. Other board members? We did have a robust discussion on this on Tuesday. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other comments, Ms. Henners, will you please call the roll? I'm sorry, public comment. Thank you. First time. At this time, I would like to ask if members of the public have any comments on this action item. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand.
There are no hand raises.
I also have no chats.
Very good. In that case, Ms. Sinners, can you please call the roll?
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks very much. Next up is the President's report. President Fernandez.
Thank you, Director Williams. On my present report for September 16th, I always start with the tradition of reporting on our generation busy month for generation, the month of August. We had all of our coal units running. We had a few unplanned outages and a few derates of some of the units, and that's why you see the capacity factor in the 65–70% on some of these units. Nebraska City Unit 1 had a capacity factor of 77.7%. Nebraska City Unit 2 of 82.6%. Unit 4 of North Omaha, 76.3%. And North Omaha 5, 65.8%. This is the time where we run our units really hard. It's a hot season, and we need all that capacity from all of our units. And from time to time, things fail. And so our teams go in and try to solve those issues. Sometimes we have to derate the unit. That means that they're not producing full capacity. Sometimes we do have to take the units offline, depending on the issue we're solving. But by and large, our units ran as expected, and I'm happy to report that on our base load coal generation. Next slide, please. Our peaking generation, this is natural gas, mostly natural gas peaking generation. Again, this is also the time when we are expecting our peaking units to be cold quite a bit to support peaks that we see during the hot parts of the day in our service territory and in the marketplace in SPP. Our Cass County units ran quite a bit this month with a capacity factor of 13.2%. Jones Street units ran, they ran very little, but they ran at 0.2%. North Omaha units 1, 2, and 3 ran in August. This is important. We not always have all of these 3 units run on the same month, and we had them running. These are the 3 units that we're looking at retiring in 2023. So it is important for us to make sure that we keep them in good working condition while we need them, because we do need them every now and then. They ran at 1.9, 1.5, and 7.7% respectively. And then our Sarpy County generation facility, which has 5 units, the combined capacity factor of that facility was 7.4%. Again, these one running on natural gas. Moving forward, renewables. Renewable energy contributed 29.2% of OPPD's retail energy sales. This is also the time of the year when wind blows, but it doesn't necessarily blow that consistently. We're going into the fall season. That's when we typically expect to see an uptick on wind generation. But for the month of August, it was 29.2% of OPPD's retail energy sales. The capacity factor of our wind was 40%. We Remember, we have a community solar facility up in Fort Calhoun that had a capacity factor of 27.9%. And the year-to-date capacity factor for that facility is 22.4% for that community solar. Next slide, please. I'm sharing these now. One, four. There you go. This is an October event, but it's a good public service announcement because by the time we have the October meeting, this is going to be history. So October 3rd to the 9th is Public Power Week. The Nebraska Power Association is which we are a member of. We are celebrating Public Power Week on that week of October 3rd to the 9th. We will have a few events and online and fairs and opportunities for us to share with our public the value of public power in the state of Nebraska. The next slide, please. This is an interesting one, and it is interesting because I sometimes become accustomed to this type of recognition, but it's something that I should never take for granted. And this is the effectiveness and the efficiency of our economic development team. For the 5th year in a row, OPPD has been awarded the designation of the Site Selection magazine of the top 20 utilities on economic development in the nation. You have a list there of all the other utilities that we are in good company of. And it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by a lot of work and dedication from our team. What economic development does for our customer owners, it continues to attract businesses, attract economic growth to the region, so that we can continue to enjoy low rates and a good economic activity in the region. So very proud of what the economic development team has done and very pleased that we continue to be recognized by the Site Selection magazine. Last week, we had our Swigert tournament. We didn't have one last year. It was COVID didn't allow us to have it. Last week, we did have the tournament. It was outdoors. We had a few COVID measures, so we didn't have an indoors event after the tournament, but it allowed us to raise funds. This is a fundraiser for our energy assistance program, and we also use these funds to fund scholarships. In this case, we were able to fund 3 $2,000 scholarships at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, Creighton University, and Bellevue University. Very well attended event and really for a good cause that helps our energy assistance program year round. The next picture, this is a very impressive picture, but not any more impressive than the service that our men and women do for this country. OPPD, along with NPPD, we partnered and we flew a 60-foot flag across the street. You can see the picture here, and this is to welcome the Corporal Deegan Page, his remains, which arrived into Omaha last Friday. It was a good way for our men and women to honor servicemen who have lost their life and give their life for the service of this country. We understood from the family that Corporal Page had the desire to join and to become a lineman upon leaving his service with the Marines. So this was especially meaningful for our line crews, and they wanted to make sure that we honored him and every other service member who has lost their life on behalf of our country. Last slide. This is our in memoriam slide. I'd like to honor and remember Larry McGrew. He was a lineman. He died in 1951. He died from injuries sustained from a fall while working on a pole near 59th and Military Avenue here in Omaha. He was only 35 years old at the time of his death. And utility work was in the blood of the McGrew boys because his brother John also worked as a lineman for the Nebraska Power Company, which was OPPD's predecessor. And sadly, in the early 1940s, John also was killed doing line work. So 2 brothers who sacrificed their life for powering our community. So That concludes my president's report, Vice Chairman Williams.
Thank you very much, President Fernandez. At this time, I would like to ask if any members of the public have any comments on any other items of district business. If you would like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hands. Well, are we looking for virtual comments first and then in person? Great.
I see one hand raised.
John Pollock has raised his hand.
Sounds good. John, are you there?
Yes, I am. We're looking at good weather this time. Basically, the no foreseeable, particularly severe weather. Though we will have some fronts coming through the area. There's always the possibility that a strong front will produce strong winds and thunderstorms. We've got a fairly low level of moisture, which means that the thunderstorms will probably be sporadic rather than focused in a strong line or anything like that. Even the 1 month outlook is for slightly above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation as far as we could tell. The only other comment I had, I looked at the meteorology as you summarized it in the polar vortex report that was given in the committee, and whoever put that together did a good job. The meteorology is not settled on the forecastability of these polar vortex extensions or to what extent they're actually related to climate change as opposed to being sporadic. There's still a lot of research in the area, and it's inconclusive. I think the report summarized it quite well. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, John. Do we have any additional comments?
I don't see any additional hand raises. Lauren, can you confirm chats?
Yes, I have no chats currently.
Sounds good. We can keep an eye on that. And we do have a comment in person in the room. I've been informed that you have materials you'd like to display. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. So we do have the ability to do that with the overhead projector. I will let you know that we'll be able to see that in the room. That will not be visible online. And we don't know if that will be recorded as part of the video that is posted later for the record, but we will receive the information. You can give that to Mo, and we'll put it in the public comment record that way. Thank you.
My name is David Bagley, customer owner, 4611 South 96th Street, Omaha. The first thing I'd like to bring to the board's attention, and this is a follow-up to my last appearance at this meeting. Protests break out in Europe as electricity prices soar. Riots in Spain, highest ever electricity prices. Second item, Goldman Sachs, Wall Street investment bankers. Goldman warns of blackout risk for European industry this winter. Why is this? Well, I'll tell you why. Too much solar and wind, low wind speed, high nat gas prices. So I think we can all agree that the Europeans are fools to get themselves in the spot that they are in today. But as a Jesuit priest wrote in the year 1647, fools can be of use to the wise as negative examples. And I know this board is wise. So I have here a proposed board resolution. Tough to see, but I'll give it to your secretary there. And note that Nebraska Revised Statute 70-1101 states that it's the policy of the state to provide for dependable electric service at the lowest practical cost to all the citizens of the state. And there's some other recitations. But what I've learned is, according to openei.org, which uses the EIA numbers, is that OPPD is actually not affordable. Residential rates are 13% higher than Mid-America Energy over in CB. 14% higher for commercial, and 25% higher for industrial. So I think that's a serious problem. And my resolution, the resolve part, says that your new CEO and president, Mr. Fernandez, is hereby directed to issue requests for proposals to international consulting companies such as BCG, Bain & McKenzie, who have expertise in electric utilities, to produce a report as to how OPPD can reduce its electric rates to get in compliance with NEBREV Stat 70-1101. And the RFP shall request that the consulting company take into consideration and analyze how OPPD's
30 seconds.
current policies will affect rates in the future. So you really have a unique opportunity with your new CEO and president. He can sweep clean and really get OPPD in compliance with the law and really make it affordable. And I'm sure that's exactly what you all want to do. So I'll deliver these materials to your secretary, and I hope you take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mo, do we have any additional online comment or chat requests?
David Corbin,
Great.
if you
David,
give me a moment to get the other screen up.
no problem.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can't hear you, David. Give us 1 second, please. We're preparing the screen for the
Okay.
comment.
Now I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street, Nebraska Sierra Club Energy Committee Chair. I'd just like to point out, and I think most of you know, that Iowa has the most renewable energy per capita in the United States, and a large part of that is Mid-America Energy. So if they are lower, it's because they have used a cheaper energy source, and that is a good thing. The cost of, there are many reasons why sometimes it looks like fossil fuels might be competitive, but when you take out the government subsidies, that's not so. And I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Any additional comments?
I don't see any hand raises.
John Pollock provided his address in the chat, so, but as far as any other chats or hand raises, I do not see any.
Great, thanks very much. Hearing no additional public comments, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.